over 5 decades experience in media. Presently, he is the director of the Statesman Print Journalism School, Kolkata, and is also the consulting editor of The Weekend Leader. I request Mr. Sam Rajappa, consulting editor, The Weekend Leader, to address the gathered audience on journalism today.
Distinguished members on the dais and friends, our media, particularly the electronic as well as the print media, have gone through various stages. Before independence, we had two kinds of newspapers. Those supporting the colonial rule, mostly owned by the British, though there were exceptions. Some of the British-owned newspapers did not always support the colonial regime. And then we have the nationalist paper, devoted to India's freedom struggle. Papers like the Hindu, for instance, the Hindustan Times in Delhi, and there are numerous newspapers. And they, before the independence, that is before 1947, were playing the role of crusaders for India's independence. And after independence, that is from 1947 onwards, most of the British-owned newspapers pulled out. I mean, either they sold, like Times of India, which is owned by a company called Bennett Coleman and Company, and most of the British-owned papers changed hands, and the Indian newspaper developed as a very independent and free press compared to most of the third world countries. Then the watershed, 1975, we lost our independence. Most of you students were not even born then, you wouldn't know. We had almost 2 years of emergency when the Constitution was suspended. Even your right to life was taken away by a Supreme Court order. So we had a period when there was absolutely no freedom of the press. So we developed a very healthy media between 47 and 1975. All that was killed during that 2-year interval. After that, for some reason or the other, the newspapers failed to develop as independent with any crusading spirit or even its responsibility of keeping the people informed. Most newspapers, from being editor-oriented, shifted to management-oriented. The management was dictating editorial policies, and the editors have almost become non-entities. Your previous generation, if you ask anybody who's the editor of the Times of India, even a high school student would know. One of the editors of Times of India once remarked that his job is the third most important job in India. After the president, the prime minister, it is editor of the Times of India who is the most important person. Of course, that is slightly exaggerated, but then they were very important people, editors of all the major national papers. They were household names, people who would know who the editor or who their columnist. All that slowly vanished after 1975, and the newspapers have become more products to be sold like any other product. The emphasis is on profit and not on providing service. Actually, the news industry, it's a service industry. It does a service to people. Well, I can go on giving more instances, but all I want to say is the press in India, or particularly the media, which includes the electronic media also, failed to do its duty of informing the people with correct news. Thank you very much.